How are you, Tina?
Good. How are you guys? I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yes.
Fantastic. We're
Yeah.
excited as well.
People are feeling a lot of incredible shifts and dreams and a lot that is really happening. And I didn't know any about this. I'll be talking to you guys. I didn't know anything about this stuff before I went to Brazil. And I just had this huge like download of information that came in for 6 months. And I ended up writing a book. And actually, I'm going to be changing the book a little bit just because I went into the Akashic Records. Do you know what the Akashic Records are?
No.
Yes.
So the Akashic Records are the records that are held for everything that's ever happened in existence and
Oh,
the lifetime on on this planet. So and ask the question about my book, and so in between different things that I received, I was doing commentary, and that's going to all be taken out because it really needs to be in the purity of how it was delivered. And then at the end, I'm going to write a chapter just kind of with my thoughts. But because this was such a whirlwind for me, I was trying to like put it all together and like think through it and go through my own spiritual awakening that yeah, I designed it like that, but it's gonna be changed.
Isn't
I
it cool you can do that though? Like that's what
Yeah.
I love.
I can kind of really relate because I wrote my first book and it's called The Perfect Storm. And as I look back, it's not really what I wanted to put out. It's more of a dumping ground.
Yes,
It's
yes,
about my
exactly.
life, right?
Yeah.
And my second book, I want to incorporate more of my recovery and what I've learned over the processes and what I've learned about 12-step programs. And not that I think they're bad anymore. I did for a long time. I was like this going. However,
Yeah.
for me, they only go that far. And
Mhm.
there's so much more to recovery. And I understand I think it was 1935 when it was established,
Yeah.
it was a big thing because it saved huge amounts of life, but
Yes.
medical and spiritual technology, if you want to call it that, has evolved so much that
Exactly.
it's like I tell people, if you had diabetes or cancer, would you rather be treated 1935 style or 2025 style?
Yes. Yes. And I love that because Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson, they that was their spiritual awakening. This is yours. And it's like
Yeah.
passing the baton. You know what I mean? It's like now you bring it even further and further, and we keep advancing and expanding on the knowledge and the wisdom that we have. So I love that. I think that's awesome.
Well, what we're in today and how magic mushrooms are getting used for depression and PTSD.
Mhm.
And well, you go back to Bill Wilson, you know what he did through all through the 50s? Magic mushrooms and niacin therapy, but AA won't talk about that because it's not right, apparently. And it's like that's kind of what clouds the judgment for me now is because it's like I did that for my therapy and it
Yeah.
got me light years ahead.
Yeah. And I think, everyone's in different places,
Oh,
just like with AA, some people get caught up in the program. They don't let it go. It's like
yeah.
they stay in it for 30 years and they go round and round and round. And then there's some people who using even if it's plant medicine wouldn't be beneficial because I'm seeing people honestly who are extremely advanced but now they keep wanting the high. They keep wanting the high. It's like you didn't get what the medicine taught you. It taught you a lesson, but now I keep wanting to go back. And I've experienced that even with the channeling. I got all this messaging, but it's like, I want more. I want more. And it's like, no, you got to let it embody. You got to let it. And it's an excitement and it's an expansion of consciousness, but there are lessons to be learned and we're not
Yeah.
supposed to just rely on it, and keep like every weekend I'm doing a psychedelic thing because
Yeah,
it's
oh,
cool and
100%.
I want to go further, it's like, so yeah, so I think that, it's so important what you're doing, because different things work for different people, and different
100%.
things are going to activate different things within people's DNA too, so that's why it takes all of us, because we're all the answer, right? It's not just one answer, it's all of us collectively that are coming together to bring the answers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. I mean, and to come to this place of, openness, I think
Hmm.
that's the big thing, right? Like that's what the mushrooms and things I think did for you as well. Just that allowed that openness to happen.
However, though, the difference between me and a lot of people in that I know in AA that have done the journey that I've done, they don't talk about it. So
Hmm.
to me, if I do something that I can't tell my wife about or I can't tell my friends about, is it right?
Mm.
Am I hiding something? And don't get me wrong, I know people have their reasons for doing what they do. However, for me, I need to be honest with my friends, and that's part of being honest and upfront so they can decide whether they feel comfortable with having Scott in their life or not. Because I know some
Sure.
people in the 12-step programs are so scared of going backwards, like I was for years, that they,
Mhm.
so that's why I share about it. But I also share about it because it's like, for me, I went back to AA and back to Ed Stumble and go back and not necessarily get like use drugs, but I would go down and then go back to the same solution. Well, how therapeutic is it going back to the same solution for 25 years or 41 years?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think that, one of the main themes that all the divine masters and teachers have taught is know thyself. And I think that that's the most important thing, is that we're all on this evolution journey to really remember who we are. Each one of us is a unique divine blueprint. And so really the most important thing is knowing who you are. So what you're discovering that and becoming that and reflecting it, and then the people that resonate with that are the people that need to be in your life.
Oh,
um
100%.
yeah, yeah, so
So
it's like, yeah, so it's neat.
And fantastic conversations like this. I
Yeah.
thrive on this. If we could do this every day of the week, I would be happy because it's like
Oh,
just incredible.
well, you guys are so easy to talk to, so it's wonderful.
okay, so I'm going to start this. We've just jumped right in. So if you're catching us, I'm going to play this whole thing because I think this conversation is very, very important. So, hi everybody. Welcome. My name is Lisa Brearley. The amazing man beside me is Scott Brearley, and this is episode 39 of Soulmates and Suitcases, and you can catch us on YouTube and on Spotify. Just look up Soulmates and Suitcases, and we have a fantastic guest today, which we already started our 10 minutes before the introduction. Amazing topics, amazing understanding. I think you may have heard a lot about sort of this awakening happening in the world, and I want to dive in with that with Tina. And Tina, I will allow you, not allow you, I want you to introduce yourself. And please, do we address you as Tina or Tina Lyn before we get started?
No, you can address me as Tina.
Tina, perfect, Tina.
Yes, that's
So
fine. Yeah.
very excited. Will you share a little bit about yourself and we'll jump right in.
Well, thank you so much, Scott and Lisa, so much for allowing me to be here today. I'm very excited, and I spent a lot of time really thinking about everything I wanted to say, and I'm just like overwhelmed with joy. Um, I I consider myself a divine alchemist in the sense that I really want to help people move from the feeling of unworthiness to worthy, because we are all divinely worthy. We are all divinely held in the same love, the same grace, the same importance as each other. And so that's really my mission right now, and my purpose is to spread the information of the awakening that I had when we get into talking about that. But just to reflect to each person that's listening, you are worthy, you are important of existence, you would not be here if you weren't, and you are honored, and I honor you and your time in listening to the words that we're going to speak today.
Absolutely amazing way to start this off. Exactly. Now, you've written a book about an amazing experience that you had in Spain, right? In Spain,
And actually in Brazil, Goiânia,
Brazil,
Brazil. Yep,
in
that's okay.
Brazil. And this, I think many of us have these pivotal moments in our life where we can pinpoint things where shifts happen. So can you show us your book? Do you have it there?
Yes,
And
I do. I do. It's called It Will Come to You, and it's the true truth of who you are. My daughter actually painted the McCoys that are
Oh,
on
yeah.
here, or macaws, sorry, the macaws that are on here. So
beautiful. So tell us, how did this book come to fruition? What inspired you? What is inside this book?
okay.
Yeah.
So this all started, I'm going to say in like 2023, when I was on a mission to really do a lot of healing and self-healing. And we were just kind of coming off of all the cusp of all the COVID stuff. And I was just like, who is Tina? What's going on in my life? You know, so I started to do a lot of the deep soul, dark soul of the night, like a lot of us do. And just really was trying to discover myself, and an opportunity came up from a lady in Canandaigua, where I live, and she had said she was going to Brazil. And because I do energy work, I wanted to know how they were combining Western medicine with energy healing over in Brazil. And so this led me to having to read a couple of books before I went over there on spiritual emergence, and books on spiritism, because the community centers over there, they're actually the ones we visited, which were Ramachis and Casa de Euripides, actually were psychiatric and addiction facilities,
Mm.
and community centers actually that people um, can go to not only get helped, but also get energy passes done on them. And the government pays for it. If you have insurance, they'll take your insurance. But if you don't, then the government completely pays for these centers. And I'm telling you, it was a third world country doing first rate healthcare. It was amazing. And you don't have to believe in spiritism to go to these facilities. But if you're open to the energy work that they do on you, then, you know, they will provide those services, which are absolutely beautiful.
Wow, that's incredible. So you were able to experience that sort of groundedness, love from the people who were there doing that work, right?
Yes. So let me really share with you that the moment I stepped into those facilities, and I have a background in addictions too. I mean, I taught addictions for 11 and a half years. You felt the Christ consciousness. You felt a love that is so deep and eternal in those facilities. And it was amazing. And everyone participated. Everyone was the caretaker of the facility. And it was just beautiful. There were animals there, there were gardens, there was carpentry, you know, beauty salon, you know, all of that. And I mean, the accommodations were third world country, you know, I mean, there were cots on a floor. But the love that was embodied was so healing, you know, and it was just so amazing. I just wanted to take my shoes off and just stand there and just like bask in it. It was beautiful and so different from here, right? Where you see people out in halls and people are overwhelmed, and you know, there's no time to really sit and hug someone or hear someone or really be present with someone. So there wasn't a judgment. There was just unconditional love, which was so beautiful.
You know what I hear you hear you talking about, because I come from the addiction side, and what I hear you talking about is love and
Yes.
loving somebody and caring them for them long enough for, and I'm not sure how long the people stay in the centers, but it's from what you, because I've been in treatment centers in Canada, and it's
Hmm.
hard nosed, and it's like, I won't say hard nosed, but it's tough love. And for
Hmm.
somebody like me, when finally I met some people like my wife that loved me long enough to help encourage the change, and not saying it had to come from me.
Yeah.
However, it was soft love and not hard. And I know the people that think they're doing hard love, and that works for some people. I'm not saying it doesn't, but for somebody that comes from the past that I come from, it's just I want to fight as soon as somebody that starts being aggressive or that it feels that way.
Sure, sure. And it was compassion,
Yeah.
right? It was kindness. It was forgiveness. It was all of the things that we need to give to ourselves too. That was being reflected. And so when I went there, I didn't expect at all that on November 11th, which yesterday was a year that it's been since I've been there, that at 1:11 in the morning, I was going to receive my first message. And the first message I received was on compassion, which I read on YouTube yesterday. And I did ask, who is this message from? And I was told it was from the Alpha and the Omega, the holies of holies, of all there is and ever shall be. And I received multiple messages from source energy and messages from other entities too. Um, but I want to, if it's okay, I wanted to read the
Absolutely.
message that I received on creation. And I want the readers to understand I spoke this in my phone in seconds. This isn't something I thought about or, wrote myself. I mean, literally, it was telepathy. I could hear it and I spoke it at the same time. And this is what creation had to say about creation. For knowing is the clarity of oneness. When you take a story and bring it back to the beginning of all creation, and you understand the contemplation of destiny that creates that which created you, you find yourself in a quandary of miracles that created unto itself the essence of all humanity. To question the essence of this time and space is the delight of the watchful eye that is bestowed upon you. The infinite love and magical wisdom that finds itself in harmony and balance and truly cannot be understood. This is the apex, the pinprick of the space time continuum that calls to itself a miraculous concept of love and wisdom created to seek itself back to me. Through the eyes of the divine, time stands still, a watchful whispering of a knowing of a triumph of such great magnitude that the mind and the essence cannot fathom. For its capacity is so large that the possibility of understanding is insurmountable to that which seeks to understand it. And the depths of this great magnitude is a creation of love that only seeks the watchful eyes of the return. For this return is truly an insurmountable chasm of creation with which intentions and thoughtfulness chose to expand to the delight of the knowing from which it became to be infinite for all eternity. It is an incomprehensible, insurmountable creation of that which seeks to return to itself. This is being spoken back into humanity. It is the word, the divine beingness of all, with no separation, the oneness, the Alpha and the Omega, the Holy of Holies, the true contemplation of existence, of all there is and ever shall be. Peace be with you always. And so the real message was truthfully, we are all one. We are a oneness that can never separate from itself. There is no separation, not through death, not through divorce, not through anything. We will always be one. And I was honored to hear those words.
Wow.
Have, have you ever heard of the, I don't know if it's a movie, but It's called Finding Joe.
No.
It's on Netflix, and it's about this man. I guess it's a biography in a way. He started with when he was younger, he was really drawn to the native culture.
Mm.
So he researched the native religious and or which the nature and stuff that the religions or the natives talk about. Then he
Hmm.
studied a whole bunch of other like Buddhism and all of that. And that's what the movie's all about. And it's basically what I heard you just talk about was
Mm.
exactly what his message was to me. It's pretty inspiring because on one of our podcasts with the gentleman, that's how we found out about it. We watched it that day when he talked about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll
So
have to watch that. Finding
Finding
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. That sounds really good. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's not just I'm not the only one that can hear those messages like you said. We all hear them. We have intuition. We have knowings. These are all threads that lead us to our divine wisdom that we already have within us. And one of the messages I felt that came across really, really clear was that we are looking in the wrong places for who we are. We have to look within. That's where our wisdom is. That's where our guidance is. And through the heart, I really liked that one of the things that was really said is that, true thought, it requires the dedication of the heart. So really what we do, we have to think about our words, our actions, our intentions. They all have to come from the truth of the heart. So I love the messages that I received about who we are because it's pretty amazing. And we have a creator who is just delighted in watching all of us try to figure it out. I mean, honestly, because we are all the creator. We are all one. We're all the embodiment of Emmanuel, of the Christ consciousness, not just Jesus, but to each one of us. And I think that more and more people are realizing that we're all part of a oneness.
Oneness, yeah. Without diving too much into this dark space of what is happening in our world or what we see, the divide, the fear, lots of sickness and that sort of thing seems to be just rampant. So how do
Mhm.
you kind of see what's happening in regards to um, why it's so easy for us humans to go down that road instead of looking like what you're speaking about, the opportunities, the openness, the divine, the spirit, and all that sort of thing?
Yes, that's a great, great question, and they did talk about that to me. So, one of the things that they said is the war is not coming to you. The war is already in you. It's
Mm.
in your internal fight against a reality that isn't for the good of all. So, and who we are seeking with our intentions to become. This is the revolution that is happening for us. Why? Because there's a lot of what they called, and you may have heard this terminology. I never did, but it's called constructs of confusion. Since when we're born, we are told all kinds of beliefs and we have perceptions about things because of that, and that confuses our clarity about who we are. Beliefs that we're not good enough, beliefs that not everybody can win, beliefs that we have lack. This creates a lot of feelings of jealousy and anger and rage, and I do believe to some extent, and this is my belief, we came to experience that. When we're not in this human form, we know we're a oneness. And so there is no separation. If someone passes away or dies, if you are truly in your essence and not in human form, you're not going to feel a separation from that person. So part of it is to experience it. But I think part of it has become there was a density that's lightening, that's getting lighter and lighter. And we are in a time of a great climb. And so things are shifting and changing within even our own framework, because this is an organic body. I mean, this is what I was told, that is a framework to house the soul. The soul then can interface with the universe, the unified field, and so we're multidimensional, which means that this is just one part of reality. We have many realities, and I think that's collapsing in on itself. So people are being really asked at this time to go inward. This is where the journeying begins, because we have to lift the burdens of humanity up for purification, which means we have to let go of the constructs, that we feel we're divided. That's perception. And that can't be done by government. It can't be done by leaders. It only can be done by us. Each one of us has to do this work. And a lot of times people, they want to look outside of themselves for the work, but sitting in meditation, sitting in stillness, being in nature, and I know you've heard all of these things, but this is truly the way to do it. And we're each going to be asked to. And if we don't, guess what? You're going to feel it. You're going to start really feeling it internally. Just all that stuff is going to start rising up because the vibrations are rising.
Yeah. And with that, I think some people go, well, if I don't think that way, what's going to happen to me? Do you have an answer on that, a thought on that?
I think you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it.
I guess, what does that mean in the human body?
So when I was, some of the stuff that was being told to me is, you only see the truth when you're ready to see the truth. This is the way of creation. This is the way of the wise. This is the way it is. So if people aren't ready, they're not ready, and that's okay. It's okay, because everybody's going to be where they're meant to be. And so I think that they are going to feel the pull to shake some stuff out, and I don't 100% know if people completely don't want to. Then probably what's going to happen is they're going to stay in that reality that's going to be about division and war, and if that's what they choose to live in, then that is going to be honored, because we do live in a free will planet.
Now, do you think, and I mean, I think that some of the obesity and the diseases we have today, I mean, I know a lot of it's caused from the food and the environment and that sort of stuff. However, the toxicity of our body, I believe, creates most of the trauma and the most of the disease in our bodies.
Yeah.
Yes. When in Brazil, they actually do an energy session that's called apometry. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's the unfolding of the body to go into the astral realm. So it's a conscious projection, because we have a body double. Like before, we have this physical body, but then we have the aura, we have the outside body too. And that's where a lot of the trauma starts, like you're talking about. It starts in the soul, and then that then translates into the physical body. That's why people can do energy work on other people, and you're harmonizing their energy field to lift their vibrations. Because when people are living in suffering, when they're living in hatred, it's harming their cells, it's harming their organic framework. Is that what you're saying? So
Yeah,
I
pretty
totally
much,
agree.
pretty much. And
Yeah.
it's like, because I look at the obesity problem and it's like, it's not just all food. It
Mhm.
can't be. It's like, because
Mhm.
I think some of it's like hanging on to the trauma or the hurt, and then it's coming out sideways. And it's,
Yeah.
I've just in the last 4 or 5 years, I've just become, stepped my foot back in the door with my family,
Mhm.
and it hasn't changed much. And me and my brother, it's funny, like we just talked this morning, and it's like, even on the phone, it's like this, and it's like, it's not, but I don't desire that. However, I know without effort, it'll stay the same.
Mhm.
And by putting a little bit of effort in and looking at my part, not his part, my part, and
Mhm.
how I can change it. Hopefully, I can influence him a little bit it changes a little bit. And I'm not saying, I know we both love each other or we wouldn't be in
Yeah.
this. Like we went 35 years without talking. I'm not talking like, and in that 35 years, he learned enough that one of the first conversations we had, he goes, we didn't stand a chance. Our mother pitted us against each other our whole lives.
Mm.
And it was like, then it put the ball in my court where I seen my nieces and nephews that didn't talk to me that were close to my mom. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh. So then it took the onus of what did I do? It wasn't anything that I did. I just showed up and and
Yes.
but I wouldn't have been open to that if I hadn't have delved deep inside and like you said, worked on the internal stuff. I would have just kept the same anger that why don't they talk to me? What did I do? It's all my fault. And
Yeah.
we don't realize that when we're in it, that it's completely something different. And that's kind of why I share my story a lot, that
Yeah.
it's like life can be different. And for me, I look at sometimes because I'm not educated and I look at people with education, and this is one of the questions I wanted to ask you. What
Mhm.
somebody that's educated, what do you think of a person that's not educated, that's been through the trauma and dealt with most of it, that's sharing their story? Do they have almost as much to offer as somebody that's been educated for years that doesn't have that sort of stuff? And it's because it's something that I've pondered my whole life. Because sometimes I go, oh, they don't know because they haven't been there. And then,
Like me,
yeah,
per se.
Yeah. I think that, I think there's a lot of judgments towards people, like I I think that it's really important when you can have a personal experience, but I also feel like we don't know what other people have experienced.
no.
They may not look like they've experienced trauma. They may not look like they've experienced things that we've experienced because they put together themselves in a way that we don't know, and I had someone ask me that because a young man was in and so this is so perfect that you're asking me this because he's learning social work, and he said that this mom said to him, you don't understand what it's like to be a mom with two children and be single, so how could you relate, how could you be there? And I just said to him, well, you know what, you may not, but if that person's in trouble and that mom with two kids isn't available and you have love and compassion, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So I think it's like connecting with somebody who you resonate with, who can hold love and compassion. I had a lady tell me a horrific story that she went through as a little child, and I had listened and I held her in love, and it transformed her. And I think that that's the most important thing, is what are our intentions? Are they of love? Are they of caring? Are they of listening? Because I think that each one of us, when we come from those intentions, we can be helpful to someone else, and someone may want to talk to somebody who's lived through that and is open about it, so I guess what I'm saying is all of it's valuable, as long as you're coming from a place of love and healing, then that is going to be beneficial. It's that whole saying, when two or more are gathered, the love and the synergy is there regardless. So it doesn't matter if you have a plaque on the wall. It doesn't matter. Some people are trying to unlearn some of the stuff that they've been taught. So, and I've always kind of gone through that. Like, I don't have, these advanced degrees, but I don't need them. And the people that do have the advanced degrees, then maybe they have something to offer too, And I think that we just don't know about what someone else's suffering is. We can think we do, but the truth is we don't. And when you can have true compassion for someone, it's when you don't make any assumptions about who that person is, and I love what you said about your brother, because the thing is that we come in to have experiences. Maybe not all of them that happen, but everything truly is an opportunity. Suffering is an opportunity to break out of suffering and inspire someone else, you know? So all of it can lead to something beautiful if we allow it to. And it's all in how we want to look at it.
Yeah, it's all the meaning that we put to it for sure,
Yeah.
and how we see things. And of course, you guys had your past history. And I know Scott had even said at some point, he said, you know, these things would happen when they were growing up, him and his brother. And Scott remembers it a certain way, and the brother
Yeah.
remembers it a different way,
However,
which is
though,
very interesting.
the cool thing after all this, I'm on the treadmill and I got an ADHD book going on my earbuds. And Dr. Amon's talking about this mom's talking about her son, and her son, if he has a good morning with the mom, has a terrible morning with his teacher. If he has a
Mm.
terrible morning with the mom, he has a great morning with the teacher. And he goes on to describe it a fair bit more. And then I'm on the treadmill, and all of a sudden, like my brother used to beat me a lot when I was younger. He's 4 years older than me, so there's a big age gap. And he
Yeah.
doesn't remember doing it. I remember it. Did it
Sure.
happen as much as I remember? I don't know, because did I just change the stories in my head like we do? However, in this, listening to this book, it dawned on me, I'm as responsible as he is. Because I would go like this and needle him till he reacted. And then I got what I wanted. Not that I knew that then. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
go back to him and go, you know what, you're right. I was as responsible as you were for that to happen. And I go, was it right what you did? No, but was it right what I did? No. And I've only learned this since I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I've been able to slow this down. And I really believe in 12-step programs. I won't say everybody, but I would imagine close to probably 75% of the people there suffer from either A, huge trauma, or B, ADHD, because
Mm-hmm.
we medicate ourselves to get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And and some people can do the 12 steps and walk out the other side and they're fine and they're great. And some people like myself did the 12 steps and it's like, I didn't get much out of that. I got a little bit, but obviously in the big spectrum, I say that it kept me alive long enough to where I found my solution or found the direction that Scott's supposed to go in. And
Just a brief pause in the show. If you'd like to dive deeper into our work, our books are available on Amazon. You can also get instant electronic copies at payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley Authors. Now, back to the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we all have to realize we have a guidance within us, our own intuition, you know, that is, and we have to have the patience and understand it's a process. You know, we're learning, we're growing and evolving. That's what we came to do, you know. And I love your story about your brother because, you know, it's showing that you both are course correcting, coming into alignment so that you can have some kind of relationship with each other. And the personal responsibility, I think, is beautiful because we're reflectors, right? We're reflecting to each other. And if we're triggered, it's something in us. I'm really trying to teach my children, and I do it myself. I mean, my guides say course correct, keep coming back. You can make it a game. When you're out of alignment, you know it. And you're just like, ah, okay, I'm coming back online. I'm coming back, you know. And it's so important to recognize if you're triggered, it's something in you that's being reflected. And sometimes people don't want to hear that, you know, and that's okay. That's the thing is we really have to give each other forgiveness and grace because through grace and compassion, we can move mountains. We can change and shape and shift consciousness. And creation is exposing itself. That's the thing. It's like people are like, why is this happening? It's not by mistake. People have been talking about this stuff for decades. You know, we are at a point where enough people have tipped the consciousness, you know,
Scale.
Yeah. And so now consciousness is really exposing itself as the rise it is, and so I think it's pretty amazing what people are experiencing. I mean, more people are just coming on to their own creative abilities, or they're becoming more attuned to themselves. And you're just seeing this like globally, you guys doing this podcast. I think the internet has been a great resource. I mean, anything can be positive or negative, but it's really helped us to see that we are a global community, that the earth is a oneness too, and we're inspiring and encouraging each other. And that's why we're going to see the changes that are coming. In my book, it did say we've called to ourselves this existential crisis for the good of humanity. We have to see it all be exposed so we can see the truth of who we are.
Yeah, it's so very
And
true.
it's funny how you were talking about all the clamors that get put in our head from the growing up,
Mhm.
and then it's like in past relationships, and Lisa and I do it a lot. Like, when you do this, this is how I feel, not
Yeah.
not what you're putting out, but
Yeah.
we stress that because it's not. I'm triggered for some reason of what her behavior is, or vice versa. It's more this way than that way, but uh, however, we've learned with each other how to say it to each other, that we draw each other closer rather than putting a wedge in between us, and that's what this world's about. And it makes me
Yes.
so sad when I hear friends talk about their partners in a negative way, and it's like, then why are you with them? If there's negativity there, why don't you work at making it positive rather than negative? And that's not how I grew up. And
Yeah.
however, by the loving and the caring of people in my lives, that's how I've gotten. And I thought of
Yeah.
this experience.
Mhm.
One of the first courses me and Lisa did, it was a 3 month long, they called it a goal setting course, but it really wasn't. And I won't get into that. However, me and the director of the area from day one were like this. And
Mm.
day two, she goes, well, did you ever think of your bully behavior? And of course, being where I was in the headspace, I completely took that on because that's what I've been called all my life.
Mm.
And I was going to quit that course, every day.
Every day.
And I yelled and I screamed and I seen my trauma therapist, and I managed to finish the course. And I fought with everybody in it. And however, probably about 3 or 6 months afterwards, it was like, I think I got more growth out of that course than I've gotten out of a lot of stuff. And I can't even put my finger on why. And part of me thinks it's I got a voice and I
Mhm.
stood up for myself in a more of a constructive way. And I can look back at when she called me a bully, today I would probably go, well, what's your behavior like?
Mm.
Because through the course, that's what she was. She was a bully to everybody. And that's why part of my makeup is I stand up for people. And I'm not sure why I need to do that. Part of me thinks it's because I'm a Libra and I need to balance the scales. And I'm not sure how much that really plays effect, because I'm not sure if I believe in that stuff or I don't. However, I don't know. I know more will be revealed in the future, and that's what we're talking about today. It's like life is
Exactly.
fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that, these are all opportunities, right? They're all opportunities for us to reflect on ourselves. Like, why does that make me feel the way it does? I think it's so important that when you feel that initial like frustration or anger or sadness, to go into the body, see it through the heart of creation. What am I feeling? There's issues that are in my cells, and what is it trying to teach me about me? Get curious about who you are, get to know you. It's the best gift you can give yourself. It's not selfish. Truly living to the highest of our own potential is what helps the world, because when we're in our joy, we can reflect joy. when people are all in their anger and their suffering, they're reflecting anger and suffering, and a lot of people that are addicted are suffering, I mean, probably all of them. And that's not, people don't realize that when you get into addiction, we could go off on a whole different thing about it's encouraged in our society to drink heavily and to do things that lead to addiction. Same with eating. If we eat a certain way, just like alcoholism, we're going to hit a trigger for diabetes and for health concerns, so these are all like things that people engage in so that they don't have to feel their suffering. And they're distracted because there's a lot that you have to do to live and to, get through the day. And so there's just a lot. And I think that part of it is really realizing the veil is thinning. The veil's within us, it's within and without, but it's inside. And it's helping us to really be exposed to the truth of who we are and to get to know that. Because deep down, each one of us is love, and we just have to remember that we're love. There's another little section that I wanted to read, if it's okay. Because this kind of wraps up like the rise that we're in right now. And it said, and this is so just beautiful. Mankind stood the test of time and broke free from the chains of enslavement that had besieged its past, and now claims a new reality, a true path of least resistance, to find itself emancipated from the corruption which enslaves it. A new dawn is breaking. A new reality is becoming. It is within your sights and your reach. Look within your heart for the keys to unlock this door, and it will open to you the heart space of true change that you seek for the betterment of the people who are so deserving of the freedom that is given to you. Each and every one of you is to be held and bestowed the greatest gift of all time, the love of one another.
Wow.
That's the greatest gift of all time, is for us to truly come back to loving each other. And I love the words, this is about us realizing that it's all about loving each other. That's what the whole game is, if you wanted to call it a game. The illusion, is us just realizing we are the answer. Love is the answer. And it seems so simple, but it's so complicated.
I agree. It helps to reinforce for me personally that what my message is, even not toot my horn in my books, but it's exactly it. I believe like that is the ultimate understanding, is love, the ultimate
Yeah.
understanding. And so you talked about your pivotal time in Brazil. Was that like the end all and be all download for you, or do you actually receive more, and how do you deal with that, and how do you record that? What does that look like for you, Tina?
Yeah. So for me, I started receiving messages there. I received them for about 6 months. So I have a couple hundred pages of messages that go into the quantum, capacity of thought, because our timelines are shifting so fast. We don't even know that. And there's technology so advanced. Our mind is limited to what we know, like telepathy and everything. Are we going to be doing that? Absolutely. This is all coming because we are going to continue to advance. And so that's exciting. But then those messages have really lately quieted, and it's become more of just moving into and doing my day to day like everyone else, following the threads, follow the threads, part of that is I did hear from the Intergalactic Federation of the Court of Light that I have a contract to do healing work. And so I know that will be coming. But again, it's all where we're at. The more we raise our vibrations, the more we go inward and heal the things that don't serve us any longer, the more that we will open to this new energy, this new earth that everyone's talking about. And it's vibration, right? So we can't experience it if we're in a density of hatred. We're not going to be able to tap into it. When I was in Brazil, I was being, like you were talking about, Scott, authentic. I was being in my own power, my authenticity, my integrity. And I think that's why I really was able to receive all of that, because I was so happy. And I think the more joyous you can become, the more you're going to be given what you need. And we're all given it every single day, right? We just got to tap into it. We got to follow the little nudges, that a lot of times we say, oh, that's just in our head, but it's not. We're constantly being guided, each one of us, and no one is loved more than another. It doesn't matter. Even the person you think is the most heinous, horrible person on the face of this earth is loved equally. Honestly. That's what I was told, and I 100% believe it. We're all important. We all have a role. We're just all in different places of our evolution. So
It's actually funny when you were talking about that. I thought of something that this is 2 years ago now when we built this house. We started to build this house. We built a house in Thailand. A builder speaks no English. So we go with the builder and the builder's wife to pick out tile. And we laughed and we had fun and we communicated all day without language, went for lunch. And that day taught me a lot because sometimes we put too much emphasis on communication. And
Words.
words, because it's about making somebody understand us with words.
yes.
And I think with communication without words, it's still, I'm not sure what I was going to say with that one. However, though it's a different communication and a different understanding. However, to be able to laugh when there's no words, it was pretty powerful.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Well, it's the energy, right? So we're energy. And so you're communicating with your energy. And I think that's kind of where we're going to be moving, is that we're going to be we're being reborn into the light. We are becoming more of a light being, of which we are, so our bodies are literally changing, our structures, our DNA, everything. The nosebleeds could be that. I don't know, but it could be, because you're going so high in vibration, there's just so much that, and people want to poo-poo it, but the truth is we are changing. Consciousness is changing. Science is even following and tracking with it too. And there's a lot of stuff we learned in Brazil that it hasn't even been told over here that I've heard of, like the DSM-4, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, or might even be 5 now. In 2035, they're going to include the soul in that. There's symposiums and things that are being talked about that I never even heard of, because all of this is huge, massive shifts are happening. They're happening in the earth. They're happening in science. And this isn't by mistake. This is because consciousness wants it to happen, and it's predestined to happen. And we are here to witness it. How blessed are we? Even if it gets hard, we're here to witness it because we chose to be here to witness it.
Well, it's funny how you talk about that in different countries, and you talked about how great it being in Brazil was, and how us Western countries look at Thailand and Brazil and call it a third world country.
But
And is it a third world country? The people
Right.
get along way better here.
So rich and spirit.
And
Yeah.
the hospital system's way better, and
Oh,
everybody still gets medical care here, regardless if you have money or not.
yeah. Right.
And it's insane, and it's like how arrogant we are over there about saying this is and then I say it's Canada's just a third world country, just like that. If you want to compare it, there's more homeless here than there.
Yeah. So you go with perception, right? Again, these are all beliefs, these are all constructs, all judgments, because when we're doing that, we're not going inward, right? We're not getting in tune with who we are, because once we get in tune with who we are, we become very powerful.
Yeah.
Well, and then we're in Vietnam and we have a taxi driver and he's, oh, I want to move to Canada. And I'm like, have you done any research on Canada? No. I just know it's better. And I'm like, well, how do you know it's better?
All right.
And then we talked to a gentleman that was actually moved to Canada. And he's like, if I had known it was like this, I would have stayed where I was. And we're getting really close to wrapping up. And I want to say one story because you're a lot about love.
Yeah.
So where me and Lisa met we were at the 7-day retreat, and we were told to go home, not home, but back to, and we were on silent mode and write our hopes, dreams, and goals. And I think this kind of fits in a little bit with the divine. I go back and I write some really limp hopes, dreams, and goals, and I go to bed. And I wake up in the morning and I don't even have my eyes open. And it's like you've ripped yourself off again. Rip that up and put some stuff on it. So I ripped it up, and one of the top things I wanted in my life was a partner. Now, coming from the age that I come from, partner always referred to gay men. And so I don't even know why I would put that word in it. And not that I could care less about that stuff, but so we had this high rope exercise, and there was this guy, Felipe. He was at the bottom, and he goes, what's one of your top goals or hopes? And I said, I want a partner in my life. And he goes to me, what are you going to say to her when you wake up in the morning? And I'm like, roll over and say, hey, babe, I love you. And he's like, why don't you one up that? And I'm like, in my brain, Neanderthal brain, I'm thinking, you moron, how can you one up that? And he goes, why don't you roll over and say, hey, babe, how can I love you today? And it was only 2 days later that Lisa and I we realized we both thought the program went till Sunday. And we had never really shown a whole lot of, I won't say we had dinners together, but we hadn't.
Chatted.
And we both thought it went till Sunday and it only went to Saturday. And Lisa's like, I don't have to be home till tomorrow night. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going for dinner tonight. And that's how our relationship started. And it's like, it's just so bizarre. And it wasn't long after that we started every morning asking each other how we could love each other. And to me, it's going back to what you said. It's like about love and how we can teach each other how we need to be loved. And it's like, I know Lisa talks about, it's really uncomfortable telling somebody that I need this to be loved. Like, this is how you can love me today. And a lot of times it's like, I don't know. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I would like you to be gentle with me today because I'm going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as, hey, babe, I've bugged you about cleaning the garage out for a month and you haven't done it yet. So maybe you could clean the garage out. Like, it could be stuff like that.
Yes.
So,
But
no, that's beautiful.
yeah, and I think realizing, like a lot of people look at us and go, what? How did that ever happen? And I think coming to this understanding that we were both in a place of looking within. Like we're both wanting to grow. And so whether the meeting of the souls came that day for that reason, because we were both in this place of, I'm ready.
Final pause. If you've got a message on your heart and want to be our guest, don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Visit ForwardWalkingChoices.com, scroll to the Soulmates and Suitcases podcast section, and click Apply Here. Now back to the show.
To share as much as possible in this big, event, and stand up and share. And Scott would share, and I'd be like, oh my God, like this man is just like pouring his heart out and showing everybody his heart. And I remember going up to him and saying to him, and he doesn't really remember that I said this, but I remember going up to him and saying, can I tell you something? And he's like, sure. I said, I felt like I just met a 5-year-old boy. And that was the first thing I said to him. And it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because that was the little boy that just wanted to be loved. And I was just like, this is beautiful. And so over the next few years after that, it was like, I need to meet my little girl again. So it was like this, understanding of all that, and the growth that we've had over the last 4 or 5 years together is just blown out.
I think that is so beautiful. I think, when you were talking about that, it reminds me, someone had said to me that when Jesus said, bring the children to me, it wasn't little children. It was us coming to each other and to God as our childlike selves, which are in our authenticity, in our integrity, and love. And that when you guys went inward, and when you expressed the truth and went to your own little child and brought love and compassion and forgiveness, miracles happen. It's beautiful. And what a testimony.
And they did every day, really.
So now we're getting close to the end, and once again, and
we love
how can people reach you
and get your book?
Yes. So my book is on Amazon under Tina Lyn Fiori. And you can reach me at Soul Energy. It's SOULENERGEE. So instead of the energy being a Y, it's 2 E's. Yep. So I'll show you my card really quick.
Yes, and we'll have all that information in the description as well. There you go. Perfect. Nice. Be the light you want to be in the world.
Yep, exactly. Be the light that you want to see reflected in the world. And and the divine teachers and masters, all of them have said the same thing. Love is the answer. It's the only thing that ever has been.
I love that. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was so much fun. I wish I was there to give you guys hugs.
Kapun ka, that's what we say in Thailand. Thank you so much, Tina. Take care.
Thank you.
Want to get our books fast and at the best price? Get your electronic copy at https://payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors. Again, that's https://payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors.